Hi, welcome to Outerworld's InnerWorld. In this episode, we have myself, David Hartley, Alex Blandin, Demorin, Antyn Vejil as well. So, today we're going to be talking about some Alice Cluster stuff, because we have the first Alice Cluster AGP, AGP Collinsville. That's going to be happening tomorrow and Sunday. And then after that, we have A4 pre-release as well, so we're going to be talking about some of those cards too. So first off, we have the AGP, and this is the first AGP, so we have, it's a wide open format, completely different to New Frontiers. So guys, what do you think is going to be doing well tomorrow?
I feel like we're going to see I feel like not a lot of good players will be playing it, but I think a lot of the general population is going to be playing Necrolance because it's been performing in Italy, everyone's been hyping it, everyone's been talking about it, it's the hype deck of the format right now, and I think you put enough of this deck in the tournament, regardless of who's playing it, someone is going to get there, if not a few people. So I think we'll see a good amount of that tomorrow in Swiss and in Top.
Exactly, it has one of the most strongest starts any deck can do at the moment, which is a turn 2 1000 attack, which can shoot something for 700. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to rely really that heavily on the Regalia Stones if you don't want it to. Like, it's suggested. I see some lists run 8-2 and inside out of board for more than 5 color stones, but knowing I have a curve that doesn't rely on having a Regalia in my hand is like just as powerful as anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Necrolance is bad.
You think it's bad?
Yeah, I agree too. It feels weird.
I think that was really strong before A3, and then I think Wallowwind became a thing. And if you lose Gwyn and Lance turn 2 basically to the Wallowwind, then you just got Time Walk 2 turns for 1 will, and that just seems really awful. So
I mean, yeah, I don't know how you actually win from there. Your opponent has to require it to do nothing from then on out for you to even have a chance to win that game. If you get Wallowwinded and they drop, let's say a 2/6 of any sort like that, that 2/6 will probably just kill you outright. Like,
but now it's less consistent to get Wallowwinded turn 1 unless you're playing a lot of Greenstones or if you're playing Kaguya. So that's typically just one deck in the format of what we might be seeing 5 to 6 different decks.
Yeah, but I don't know, because people get really greedy with their mana bases. Like, every deck runs 4 Memoria. Like, every single deck, they'll run like double Hera and like a barrier as a 2 of, and they only have maybe 2 to 4 sources of that color, and they'll just jam it out there. They won't care, they hope. And I think if for some reason you're hoping, you're just sitting there like, yeah, I hope I get to play this card, and you do get to play it, you're just so far ahead. That's enough. It's enough for you to put it in your deck because you know there is a chance I could just blow my opponent out the water.
So apart from Necrolance, what other things do you guys think will be topping tomorrow?
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, you're fine. You can go.
I feel like we're gonna see. I feel like just because of the numbers, RR Necro is going to be there because enough not as good players or semi-competent players will play the deck, and they'll play enough people who aren't good enough to play against the deck, and that will put them there. So honestly, if I had to guess, I think we'll see like 3, maybe 4 RR Necro decks in Top.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
do you think it's mainly because the format hasn't been tested as much as we were, like literally for the New Frontiers format for the past 6 months has been pretty much the same, even with TMS being released. Whereas for this Alice Cluster format, it's literally only about 2-3 weeks old, unless you want to net deck from Italy.
I think you'll come across probably maybe one top of Kaguya. Like, that deck in itself is, you're allowed to just play, of course, your Memoria, and then having, a Tri-Stone, as in White, Moon, and Green.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you decide to play Black Moon's Memoria, it gives you another Tri-Stone, which is Green, Black, and then Moon, which is very powerful, because you can hit Black and, scorn and, still cast a Seal turn 2 if you hit a White Stone. Like, that type of tempo is just as powerful. So I think there's definitely a Kaguya deck that can put it in somewhere. Tsukiyomi is very powerful to stop the Lance. Everyone loves a Celestial Wing Seraph on turn 5, and that deck can do it just fine. You still get Wall of Wind.
So
you get a. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So we have Kaguya and RR Necrolance. So other decks would be on the radar would be Shion. I've seen recently the Dark Shion list, which just came up. I'm not sure if any Altible players are playing that, but it's an interesting thing. And then there's also people are thinking about playing the Tree for some reason, and also Prime Janitor.
What? Tree? Why?
It's just talk I've heard in the forums. But
Well,
because you don't have the brawly witch thing to really out it anymore, and you don't have the little Ame like ping combo. There's a lot of stuff that like kind of like oddly like was just built-in answers to it, and I think we lost a lot of those now, especially with Reflect being less popular.
Yeah, but I don't know about that because, like, the reason why Tree was so potent then is because of, like, okay, well, I can't target. You had things like Thunder. You had direct burn spells a lot more than you do now. And currently, we have what is a direct burn spell to the face?
Nothing.
Nothing. So, like, knowing I can put someone on one and just feel, okay, Thunder you. I think that's what was more of the case. Like, okay, Brawly, witch you or something like that. But you can still play Brawly with black, creatures.
Well, you couldn't Thunder them because of the Regalia.
Well, oh yeah, you couldn't target it. Was it unless you pay 2, or you just couldn't target them, period? You had to pay 2,
couldn't
right?
target the things. You couldn't target
Okay, so I see you there. Well, I mean, so what, now you just Maribel that Regalia and hope, or like the Alice drops, and if you're playing R&R, you bounce it and attack them, like, I don't know, having a roller that does absolutely nothing besides, like, have a shield on me, it's like, I'd rather just win the game. Like, there just has to be something better that I can just win the game with than this card. Like, there's no deck fast enough.
I have noticed people try to side in Tree just against the red matchup, but I don't know how viable that would be when it might just be better to stay as your own RR. Speaking of which, there's going to be RR control decks, which aim to just remove everyone's cards, destroy everything, and then bring out a big guy. Do you think that will be seen at the top tables?
I don't know, that's a hard one to judge. Like, you have rulers like Gil Lapis that run around, and like, everyone has a barrier. Almost literally everyone has a barrier somewhere.
Harris as well.
Yeah, like, I don't know how you're going to try to keep her Regalia around the stick, and be like, okay, this is my game plan, I'm going to play orbs and this, I'm going to, like, out value or resource you out the game. They go Hera, and, like, they draw a card and have a 5/5, like...
You need Regalia that can get rid of themselves, because Hera is just incredibly popular right now, and if you're just sitting on a Regalia that can't stop them from getting the draw on Hera, you lose a lot of value. That's a -2, just for mana. That's that's pretty good for them.
Yeah, and then you really have to remove the 5/5. Like, that, if you don't do anything, it's just going to chunk you for damage. It'll nick at you all game. You have to Demon Flame it. You have to block it. You got to double bow it because it's out of 1 bow range, which is very fucking relevant. So, I have to have 2 bows, and for some reason they have a second hair and I play 2 bows. I think I lost the game. Like,
or they can kill your bow to begin with. Like, bow you can't get rid of either. So, like, RR control relies heavily on, at least the version we've been playing with, relies heavily on the bows to keep the aggression off, as well as the orbs to accumulate counters for the late game. And if they get enough of them just get destroyed or gated by barriers, you basically lose. Like, there's not a lot you can do.
Yeah, I think your opponent opens double hair in the first 3 turns, or first 4 turns you lost.
So on the topic of a free meta, do you think Gwaiba still has a place? Because previously it was a very highly played card, and in the decks we've talked about so far, it hasn't really got a spot in the deck.
Gwaiba's, I think, is really only in 1 deck, and that's like American Blazer. And I think it's very powerful. Like, if they curve on turn and play a turn 3 Quiver, like, getting a 12/12 fire off the field right now is not a joking matter. It loses the trade or it wins the trade, I should say, in each of the Angel matchups if they're attacking. So blocking it is difficult in itself. There's not too many flyers in this format that say, hey,
there's only the Angels and the little wing light guy for his name, which destroys a black or red guy.
Ceridium, or I think its name.
But I think the main reason why Gwaiba won't be seen as much is because there's a certain lack of good 1-drops which you can play for the same colour, or between 1 or 2 colours, so its viability of coming out in turn 3 isn't as high as it was before.
Yeah, I think that's why you need to play Blue Blazer. It gives you the most consistent red drops, and if you could play like Sylvia and put a Gliver in there, but it's just like it's not as good because you have to run a Memoria or some type of form for your white. And then like if you hit your white and you can't cast anything else, like on like curves, you can't. Yeah, like you can't do anything. You can't cast a Lance turn 2. So you can do. So I think the only possible way to play Gliver currently is definitely either maybe some random Kaguya Storm deck where it's just like I'm gonna play a bunch of guys and there's Glivers in there, haha, you know, I'm gonna do some things. Or Blazer, which is probably the best deck it's currently in. Because if you don't hit a Gliver, you don't care, you're still attacking, you're still getting value, you're still playing your cards.
It's just that extra threat you can chuck out.
What is it? The other issue I see Gliver is like, to me, is like a spooky ghost. He's not really around, but when he's there, he's scary. So like, and most of their 1-drops are like super like efficient floaters, so like they can drop them down early, like if it's Gwen and Ruck Egg, and then when they get to the Gliver, they can just, okay, I'll pitch my egg, so there's 1 drop, and then I get to look at 3 more cards, their draw for their turn and 2 for Gwen, and they basically have a pretty good shot of getting another 1 drop. So that I think like gives it a lot of efficiency in the Blazer deck. And
they do run Brawly, so like that's a free guy right there you can hold on to, and it gets you value out of like little Little Scout, Hera's. Like if you Hera and Little Scout, you're drawing 2 cards right there. So seeing another 1-drop is very easily done.
So would you guys say that you'd put Blazer as a deck to maybe top this event?
Depending on the pilot, I can see it, but there's some matches.
Ruler-based strategies.
Like, there's so many decks that could shut it down if flipped early. Kaguya being the main one, because it just stops all its enters.
Okay, so...
Antyn, what do you think?
Yeah, I was gonna bring Antyn into the conversation. Do you have any A3 comments or remarks about the meta?
If I was playing at Collinsville, I'd be playing Kaguya or Huanglong. So.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to hear about this Huanglong. Me and Adam were discussing it earlier, but I hadn't actually gotten any idea of what the deck looks like.
Yeah, same. Like, I wasn't really testing too much for it, and then they talked about it. I was like, oh, I guess people can still do that.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing is, I've tested it a decent amount. The variants I've seen that have come out of some of the other players that I talked to are a bit different than mine, but still mostly fairly close. And it would mostly utilize, I mean, you abuse, you have Wall of Wind all the time because you're running Greenstones and Ruler's Memorias. Ruler's Memoria is obviously how you're casting your other creatures. And you have you're playing Blessing for ramp to grab your Memorias. You're playing Schrodinger.
Yeah, do you play the Timekeeper elf in this? Because you still need to be fast to try and get out the
yeah.
Because we lost the Riddles, we lost the Feastings, we lost
you're
the,
still playing Elf.
Yeah.
Yeah, you play the Moon Elf, you play Blessing, and you play Schrodinger, and those are your ramp spells. So.
Okay, so that's his game plan.
You only really need to fear the Seal of Windlight from the opponent.
Yeah, really just Unchaseable Seal is really the only thing you need to fear, because, I mean, you have Reflect, so if it's not unchaseable, then you could just counter it, so...
Okay, so Andre and Alex, what deck would you guys be playing if you were at Collinsville? I don't know, Alex, you are going to Collinsville.
Honestly, from the testing I've done, with other people, I'd probably play Kaguya or maybe Shion. Kaguya because I like the consistency. It's just straight.
Which type of Kaguya? Would this be Matchstick Girl or just be the the white green control?
I'd play Matchstick Girl. If there's any creature based strategy running around such as Necrolance and things like that, Kaguya will absolutely crush it. Like if I ever opened 1 to 2 Apollos in the opener, like every creature you play from then on out is almost just a guaranteed dead, and for some reason you don't play a creature and I counter it, then I have matchsticks on my hand sitting there as removal and constant removal. I guess hardest creature to deal with, like looking at the deck, is probably Tsukiyomi, because then I can't match stick it unless I have a Tsukiyomi of my own. So that's probably, like, I say maybe it's like toughest thing to deal with. Xion is like really annoying matchup just because they can flip, and for some reason I'm not prepared to flip early enough. Then they get a free 5/5.
They would normally flip before Kikuyu would flip, I think.
Yeah, you have to rush to the flip, and that's another reason I play Kaguya, because I can play that deck, I can rush to a flip versus somebody. I get 2 bodies, now you have to deal with 3 separate threats. If you so happen to deal with them, that's fine, but there's no wrath in this game, just mass removal of creatures. There's no more seal, not seal, but Sign to the Future. Thank you. Couldn't think of the card. There's none of that. So I can overextend all day, and you just have to deal with every threat on the board separately, because there's no wrath.
Fairies and Machina can spread a little bit, and I think we'll see some amount of fairies. I don't know about Machina, but I definitely think there'll be some fairies there tomorrow.
Oh yeah, fairies is another deck,
and pretty strong.
That's another deck that can really easily play Viper.
Yep. Our Necrolance can probably handle most fairy decks.
Yeah, the worst thing fairies will come across is Suki, and I've played this matchup. Most people have a friend of mine who plays fairies pretty religiously, and you see a Suki, and you just sit there like, oh, I'm like, yeah, this card is gonna pretty much ruin your day. But fairies is definitely another that can do well, and with the support they're getting at A4, it looks very promising.
Yeah. So, Alex, do you want to add anything else to the A3, or if you want to tell us what you're playing tomorrow?
I mean, I'll talk about what I'm playing. I literally have not even played a single game. I play tested it like 3 matches against Royce Townsend last night. He play tested against me. The deck I'm going to be playing tomorrow is Xion. As much as I really don't want to do that. And the reason I'm playing it is because it was the last deck that beat me. So I'm not really sure that's all a valid reason to play it, but it seems to deter Necro. In my opinion, the best card to deter Necro, and one of the best cards this format, because Reflect is a lot less popular, is Scorn of Dark Alice. It's like hands are kind of like stagnant now, so by like getting rid of stuff like Lances or their power plays like Prisha before they come down and they get the extra damage or whatever, you can just eat these cards out of their hand, and it's really the only effective way besides Wall of Wind to go on the draw and stop them from triggering their Necrolance on turn 2.
Yeah.
So, and it also gets a lot better the more you curve out. So if you curve like 2 or 3, it's like significantly better.
And also the added bonus of the information of your opponent's hand is really good as well.
Yeah. Since you have these mana bases that are really greedy, if people just get unlucky on their curve for any color, Necrolance being probably one of the only decks that can just do it as freely as it wants to, playing whatever stones. Then if someone just literally misses a turn of some sort because things didn't line up right, or you killed their 1-drop and they're hoping for their stones to line up for their 2-drop and it doesn't, you just win the game if you scorn or like blank a play. Like, the tempo in this format is insane, and when we were testing, like even with all the members, I just sat there like, you need some type of advantage in your deck. You need like any card advantage period. Like you either need a Gwen in your deck, you need some type of counter spell 1-for-1 so they can't do anything, or you need something that draws you a card like every time. Like even though, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think because of the speed of the game right now, I think cards that just net instant advantage are the way to go. Like most of the cards that you see anybody playing are just all cards that say come and play, gain X amount of advantage in some way. Most cards people are playing aren't just like cards with continuous abilities for the most part.
Yeah, you need to do something every turn that affects the board state or your hand in some way. Like if I just play an X8 or something, let's say a wall, like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm probably losing the game, like, if I'm in this position. But, like, every threat you drop needs to do something in addition to just being a threat.
Alright, so we'll just calm down the A3 discussion there. Before we move on, I want everyone to give me one card in this meta which they think is really good and will be in the deck list of the top 8 people. Starting with Antyn, give me a card.
Seal of Wind and Light.
Andre?
Hera. the Joe's chick.
Yeah, Alex.
I said it before. I'm gonna have to say Scorn. It's just so strong.
And
It's one of the best
I
cards.
myself, I'm gonna say Keeper past Uther. I think that's a very strong card. Which will
Ooh,
yeah,
yeah.
any deck which plays Rulers more, I think will be able to check one or two of those in.
They should.
Yeah, anyway, moving on. So, AGP Collinsville, a lot of people are going to it. We think there'll be about 200 players, is that correct? Who do you guys think will be winning, or do you have any picks, or do you know anyone who thinks they will be very confident at taking it down?
I'm not really sure who's going.
Yeah.
I know Alex is there.
I don't-
no,
Who else
team
is
members?
going?
Yeah, I don't know too many members besides like my team members. I'm confident in my team members for at least them to take it down. I hope or top.
Mhm.
I'm very confident in them to do that. I truly do hope one of them wins. That'd be pretty sick.
Mhm.
But I don't know all the names going. If I had like a proper
That's-
list or something, I could give you a better
The
answer.
big names that I know are going are all. It's like some of us. It's the Miles brothers, me, Nicholas Heel, and Adam Cisneros. From I don't think any Tavern players are going, right, Antyn?
No.
I think from Rebirth Games. They just,
Boyagin's there. I think Boyagin's gonna
Boyagin's
top.
going.
yeah, Boys
Yeah.
is staying with us.
Is Kentoba going?
I don't know if Kentober's
I don't
going
think it is.
actually. I don't think so. That's a little far for him, but it's possible.
But anyway, so it could be anyone's event, I guess, because new format, new everything, new decks.
Yeah, there's like a lot of things to figure out, so it's hard to judge of like, oh, who's going to do well. I think people who are just naturally good at the game and have proven themselves good are inherently going to do well, but even though it doesn't seem like there's a lot of things to test because how limited the mana bases feel, like a lot of things honestly are based on luck. If I hit doubles with Moria in comparison to an opponent who didn't, like I feel as I'm just going to win the game outright. So there's just so many things up in the air.
Alright,
That
so
could be good
we
or bad.
have, well, I hope there's going to be some Outerworld members in the top 8 as well. But we'll see what happens over the weekend, and hopefully good things do happen.
I think if it's 2 paid invites, Alex won't top.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
probably likely. I can't do 8 rounds. Too much.
Yeah. Hard.
Be waiting to get that one in, haven't you? But anyway, moving on. We're going to now shift to the future, and we're going to talk a bit about A4. This set won't be coming out till July the 1st, is it, I think? We have been given most of the spoilers apart from about 5 or 6 cards, but already we have a lot to talk about. So when the set does come out, do you have any decks you guys, or any cards which you guys are excited for?
Oh man, do I? I gotta go to the database. There's a lot. There's some sweet cards in this format. Let me tell you. I think I'm more looking less. I gotta look the card up, but in Magic it's referred to as Stupor. It's a discard a card at random and they discard a card. It's 2 black.
Like Delicate Duo from Yu-Gi-Oh!
I guess I haven't played Yu-Gi-Oh too much,
the
so
game I play.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
discard
for,
your discards card at random, and then discards another card.
yeah, it's that card is in this game particularly. I think is like just inherently powerful because at least in Magic, you know, you have your lands in your deck, so you could have 3 lands and discard a land and discard a spell. You don't feel as bad. It's like, okay, well, I lost a land, I can draw another one. In this game, you lose 2 cards. That's pretty huge. Just lose a card at random and then a card. Like that random card could be just the most relevant thing ever. There's no way to just blank. You would hope it's probably a less relevant card in your hand, but then again, it's still a card out of your hand.
So it's basically an upgraded the card from Grimm. What it's called now, Spiral of Despair, which
Yes.
towards the end of Grimlock wasn't played. It was only played briefly in Abdul, I think, for about 2-3 months. Do you think this new card's going to be as heavily played, as played, or not played at all? It really depends how the format is, I think.
Yeah, I honestly think it should be heavily played the way some of these cards are looking because you have all these the fairy support that was gotten, you have mocking and stuff like that. So I think the format will be quicker But because of the move you get at 1, such as like Unseen Pressure, which kills I think almost like every 1-drop, and then some, going that on turn 2 just really messes up any creature-based win strategies that don't refill their hand as quickly.
Yeah.
And your removal just becomes 1-for-1s and stuff like that. So I think you just went out on that advantage.
Later game. Yeah. Antyn, do you have any like specific card or deck you're interested in?
I think Interdimensional Escape is a really stupid card, and it's better than Sign.
So that's a card which says both players pick a guy they control and then send to the graveyard everything else. So it pretty much says both players only get to keep one guy alive. So that removes the threat of decks like swarming you. So if you're against fairies and they have like 20 guys out, you can play that card and they've only got one guy. So it can help you catch up on the board that way, but similarly, it can be quite devastating if you're on the receiving end.
That's a very dangerous card. Like, if you ever see your opponent just pass and they have 3 up and you're just looking like, man,
Gonna play around it.
like you really do. Like, you can not play around it and then lose, or you can play around it and then lose. It's one of those double-edged swords.
What I like about it though is if you guys play Hearthstone, the card Sylvanas and also the card Brawl. If you've ever done that interaction where you play your Sylvanas and play Brawl, that's the kind of thing I'm going to be excited about, because the new card which is also coming out, the new Prisha card, which has Shift into Valentina, which says when it goes to the graveyard, target opponent's Resonator and you gain control of it. It's not till the end of the turn, you gain control of it forever. So if you sack off your own shifted Prisha to the graveyard, whatever card they choose to survive, you get to steal. And I think that could be a very good way to play around that card.
Yeah, which is really huge.
Speaking of which, Prisha is the card which I am pretty excited about, mainly because of that steal effect, because that helps out tremendously in the Machina mirror match, or any matchup where your opponent has like a really big Resonator, which you can't deal with traditionally. Like, for example, the remote control Golem, which says it can't be destroyed, but you can still target it, which means you can steal it. Similarly, if you do steal a Resonator which has an effect which says when it gets sent to the graveyard, well, more specifically, it gets sent to a graveyard, you gain that effect as yourself.
One thing that's pretty crazy, I just noticed that the front side of Frisky is only 2. I thought it was 3 as well. I thought I had a bigger attack and defense, but that's pretty sweet for 2. Like,
no, she's insane. Her 2-drop is nuts.
Play it on turn 2 and destroy any fairy, pretty much.
Yeah, you destroy any 1-drop. Like, I don't know, like, there's the dragon 1-drop that's a 5/5 that deals like 5 to itself, that like you can pump with R&R, that interaction. But like, even then, like, you just play it, deal 4, and like, if they go to attack again, it's like, okay, well, I'm gonna flip, and you know, everyone will kill this guy.
If you're playing Reflect, it's deal 6, so I mean, she kills Lance.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then if she flips, it's a wrap on that. That's really good. I mean,
you could just play her, pump it with the thing on the chase, and then kill anything with 600. Yeah.
It's like thundering something turn 1 and then passing back, but this time you actually have.
And she gets better over. She gets better over time if you have mana to dunk.
Yeah,
this card is
late
like,
game is
pretty
good
awesome.
too, because you can just play the shift card. Alex,
Yeah, she's insane.
Which you're looking forward to? Have you even read
I just feel like that
spoilers?
Huh?
Have you read the spoilers?
Yeah, I've read all the spoilers. I just think the card Interdimensional Escape Apollo kind of like just changed the way the game's played in general. It costs 3, it's instant speed, so like it can literally come down out of nowhere, which I do agree with it to some extent, because I think it's the only thing stopping stuff like Fairies or Machina or like that new card Titania, which is basically just another Gwibber essentially.
That card is so sick. That card is so sick.
Yeah. It's like you have like 2 Gwibbers now. You can play the 2 guys for Gwibber, then play Gwibber, then you can tap those 2 guys and play Titania. So it's like, or tap all 3 of those guys and play Titania. So it's like, I don't know, it seems kind of insane.
Yeah. So it does. I do agree. Like the meta needs to have a certain card which restricts decks like that, though.
I don't think it should have been that powerful though.
I don't think it should have been instant. It should not have been instant. I should be able to get like a value out of my creature, and if you do want to do such a powerful thing, you need to do it on your turn and deal with it. Which is like, It should be around
I
that.
think it was instant. I think it had to be instant personally. I just think it should have been a 4-drop, not a 3-drop.
Yeah, I would have taken 4, just like in Magic, like Wrath of God is at 4, and like any other like heavily wrath spell that just simply says destroy all creatures.
Yeah, like Dark
It's
Pulse
not,
was good. Was a good
Yeah,
example.
Dark Pulse is one of those perfect cards that like I wish I could see more of, like, or a reprint, maybe in Vengolf or something like that.
I think Dark Pulse should have been a little stronger. I think they just needed generic, like 4-cost, like Wrath. I think this game needs instant speed just because of the pace it's played at, but I don't think it should have been a 3-cost. That's just too insane.
Yeah.
Another card that's pretty like a Wrath effect pseudo is like the Reflect. I mean, there's like things that deal 400 damage to the board and stuff like that, so you can get off the table playing red and other things, but if you do not play those colors, that's a very hard card to deal with, and it just sits there, and once it flips, I don't know, what do you want to do from then on out? Like, do you play creatures, do you force them to pop it and stuff like that and just lose it? Because it's destroy all Additions, Regalia, Resonators, and J-Rollers, so...
I don't see
do?
that card being played.
I mean, I think it's fine. Like, it has hexproof on the front side, and it doesn't require like too much effort for it to just sit there and do stuff with your extra mana, and it just lingers.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a mana sink. Like, it lets you use your excess mana, and your opponent has to deal with it in some way.
Yeah, you just play it. I'm not saying you should play it as a high 4 of. Like, I can see that card being 1 or 2. If you play it turn 1 with no other play, your opponent literally fears all the way up to the point where you have 5 mana and flip, because they have to kill you before then or balance the game in a way where they just don't get wrecked while you crushing their whole board state. And you don't have to do anything on your board state if you're control or mid-range or something like that. You just know you flip and then you get a 7/7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Control got a lot of tools in this set. Namely, of course, the interdimensional... or were you going to say something?
No, like with the reprint of Dual Stones, it gets just so much stuff.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Huge, big time not a fan of the reprint of Dual Stones.
I'm going to shift the discussion towards one of the more talked about cards, and that is the Black Moonbeam, which is widely spoken as the card which is going to kill off RR. What do you guys think about it?
I think it makes Reflex stronger, and I think it has the opposite effect of what they were expecting. Because, especially with the reprint of Dual Stones, less so when I thought there wasn't going to be Dual Stones, and then when they confirmed that there is, it just got worse.
Okay.
But, yeah, it's just going to make people never flip, and no one's better not flip than Reflect. So, I mean, I feel like it just makes him stronger, and just makes Control in general stronger, and it's undercosted.
And do you think that the fact that it's 2 black will reduce its playability, where we only have to be worried about that card in like 1 deck?
Prior to duels, yes.
Not after.
Duels, no.
After duels, no, of course not.
I really wish they would have like printed a different version of a Dual Stone, like requiring a basic or only like a filter of some sort. Like, I don't know why they just.
Or just everybody just think that.
No, it was like confirmed that.
No, Jordan pretty much confirmed, and like there was like an article on the Force of Will official page that said like Dual Stones from Crimson Moon Fairy Tale and 2 Towers, whatever. So.
Yeah, it's been confirmed to be Dual Stones.
I don't understand why they would do that. Like, they give us a formula where it's like, okay, like you have these rulers and you have these cards that have X mana, or rulers that allow you to produce certain types of mana for free, such as Blazer. So that is the trade-off wanting perfect mana, is you have to do this. Now it's like, well, you're just giving us all these cards, and then you're giving us a format without split. So everyone who wants to get greedy, you can be as greedy as you want. There's no repercussion for this.
Not until L1 comes out.
Yeah, I really like the balance of, am I playing a mana fixing ruler so I have perfect mana, or am I playing Reflect so I have a perfect deck consistency? And like now it's just going to be, okay, I'm playing Reflect because I have perfect mana again. So.
Yeah, like I don't know. I mean, we can look at other rulers per se that like might be okay with Dual Stones, and like I have hard trouble finding one. Like, why do I have to play any other ruler? Because I Reflect. Like, I mean, why do I have to play Kaguya? I Reflect. I can play Gil, such because he's powerful in his own way, and then I have perfect mana for the spells I get to play now. It's just, I don't know why they reprinted them. I think another version of them would have been fine, but
Kind of off topic, the other card I really liked was Artificial Moon. Just craps on aggro.
Oh
yeah,
I
I
think
think it's
everyone
huge.
likes
Bro with a
Artificial
Fire
Moon.
Rat Reborn. It's
The
great.
flavor of text.
Over the fire at Reborn.
Like,
They really should have had in the flavor text "That's no moon" or some homage to Star Wars.
I don't. So one thing I see in Force, right? Maybe it's like because a lot of people complain over time. I'm sure everyone's noticed how hard they like to crap on aggro right now. Like you have in one spoiler, they said there's a card that was like one white gain 1,000, then another one that's one
Yeah.
green in one instant gain 1,000, or
Yeah.
return a 2-drop to your hand. I was like, I mean, and then there was a blue card that just destroys Fire
any
Resonate.
fire resonate, and that's an instant speed as well.
Yeah, it's like for one, I'm like, all right. I mean, I understand that people complain about red, and yeah, you took the correct steps to produce, non-red decks such as making Alice's block because Rocky Cthulhu and Split and Thunder was a little bit out of hand, but you're just honestly making it like close to unplayable if like 1 to 2 of these cards resolve.
And they made.
I think
I
one.
think they made some quite good red cards in this set, but
Oh,
they're not going to see play now because
We'll
there's
see
too many
bigger
counters
ones
to it.
that have like some sort of value. Like one I like is even though he's a 5-drop, the Allosaurus. I think that card's sweet. Like
Yeah, play a spell card from your graveyard.
yeah, like I can play Allosaurus on my turn and then take enter them. Oh, it has to be fire. That is. Oh man, if it did not have to be fire.
Also, what do you guys think about Saraso? Volga? I think that's what it's called. The true successor of Saraso, Volga. Yeah.
What is it?
What card is that?
It's
Color?
a card which says it's a two red cards, two red will, sorry, 400, and it's the card which says when it takes damage, inflict that much damage to your opponent. Now this could be abused in so many ways. We're looking at it's not New Frontiers, but going forward, this is a kind of card design which they have to be careful with, because for Lapis Cluster, it could maybe eventually make some like OTK decks.
I think the Uther OTK deck is fun.
Yeah, that-
Yeah,
that's
where you banish 2 remote control golems and shoot it for 4k.
Yeah, just shoot it for 4k, your opponent gets shot for 4k, and they look at you and probably just run away and never play this game again. Like,
I do like the fun of the way it seems like an almost different win condition, where the aim is to try and do a lot of damage to this one card instead of to your opponent. It kind of like bypasses the whole resonator interactions, but I do think it could be. It was good enough that it was only 400. So I'm going to compare it to another Hearthstone card, Frothing Berserker in this regard, where it's only as good as how much defense it's got. So it can only take a certain amount of damage before it gets destroyed. And I think they did well to limit that to 400.
I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything, but if they ever make a card that like makes it indestructible, like that could be really bad.
Wait, what? The armor, doesn't the armor make anything indestructible, or is that only machines?
No,
I
it
think
just
it only
says-
prevents like damage once.
Yeah, like if the creature would die, you remove the addition instead.
Oh.
One card I'm excited about that might give red some reach, including that card to deal damage, is the Skullcrack in this format, which is Blood Boil. A card deals 600 damage to your opponent, and they cannot gain life for the rest of the turn. Or target resident you control gets +8/+8 until end of turn. And at the end of the next turn, you destroy that resonator. So,
It's
I
got
think a
options.
card like that, yeah, a card like that is pretty powerful. Like, if you swing in for like a 2-drop and they take it, and you just give, +8/+8, or you take 1,000. Something like that is like, a pretty hefty swing, or you're sitting on the auto game and they're not on, or, a lot of stipulations to it, and they go to gain 1,000, you're just like, alright, I'm going to deal 600 to you. You can't gain life for the rest of the turn, so your Celestial Wing, Seraph Trigger is useless, your Lucifer might be useless, and there's a lot of life gain guys in this format, in the white that was revealed.
So
Yeah, there's a ton of life gain.
we're going to talk about 2 more things before we go, since the video's getting quite long. One of them is Machina. I'm going to probably spend a quick, just talk about it briefly. So Machina looks to be very good because it's got Affinity, where it reduces cost of their own cards. What do you guys think? Do you think it's going to be like the top deck, the deck to beat, or do you think it's kind of gimmicky?
I think it's going to be one of the decks to beat, but because of interdimensional escape, I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to be the best as much as I'd like
Do
it
you think
to
that
be.
it's because they would just have to change the way the deck would be played? Instead of going wide, you just play more of a
You
tempo
kill them.
game? Or
Yeah.
that kind of thing?
But then not going wide is basically counterproductive to your affinity mechanics. So
However, you could still go wide, but still be in a good spot because of the death rattle effects of Roblox and I forgot the name of the other one, the free drop, which summons the 2-drop. You literally just keep your one big guy alive, and then when they do play via interdimensional escape, you just sack off the guys, which will bring out more guys anyway. So you constantly have a board, that kind of way. Also,
Yeah.
you could just always save your machine as deactivate until you feel like you need to go for it.
Yeah, I like it'll definitely be one of the decks. It just depends on what other decks in a format that would either stop it. Let's say Kaguya was like around a bunch. Like a Flick Kaguya can really hurt that deck, or like the interdimensional. That's like one card right there that can like pretty much just hurt it.
Because like the deck itself has a lot of tools. It has ways to beat aggro. It can also OTK. It's got a variety of different options it can go through.
I mean, the best card it has is Draw 2 for free. That card is so sweet. As I love drawing cards. It allows you to draw cards for free if you have 5 guys, and I'm going to assume you're OTK in that turn. So if you catch your opponents with their pants down, and you discard like a Levitain or a sort like that, and you flip early, and you just play a bunch of guys, and you have those in here, and they chain into more, then you can just straight up win the game right there.
So you draw more cards into more remote control beasts, which can then be dropped for free, and you can also play the March of the Machine Lord.
Yep.
March of the Machines, I think, which
Yeah.
will also be for free by that point. It's OTK. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to talk about is, you're gonna have a guess, it's gonna be Croco Sharks. So, just going through the spoilers we've been given, and Croco Sharks is definitely a card which has been mostly dismissed as a as a fun gimmick. Now it's not New Frontier, so we can't exactly combo it off with the Kaguya ruler and set it for 1. But do you guys plan to mess around with Croco Shark at all, or at least give it some love?
Not in
No.
Alex.
No, yeah, I don't think so. I might play this one of those like, oh, look what I can do decks. Haha, isn't this cool? But like, no,
yeah,
I don't.
I'll play it at locals.
Play it
Yeah.
like cycles. Same
I'm
with the
gonna play-
rabbits.
It's like I play a bunch of Croco Sharks. I'm going to cast this trigger, and then like you're going to interdimensional pile me. I was like, well, at least I tried to be cool. Next game.
Next game. So you're gonna side deck 15 of them, and then not use a side deck ever, and then in the
Like-
finals you side deck them all in.
What? That is, if someone does that, please, you have my.
That's what you should do. If you can't think of like the
Croco
15th
Sharks.
card to put in your side deck, or the 40th card to put in your main deck, just put in Croco Sharks. Just fill it in. You'd be a hero amongst men.
Oh, I got a 25 card.
Anyway,
deck.
do you guys have any last comments about A3 Meta or Collinsville or anything else you want to briefly talk about?
No, I don't have much to say.
That's a first, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
That's fucking rare.
I've been trying to hold back tonight.
Yeah, he's got a big day tomorrow.
Good job, man.
Tone back on my personality a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope everyone does well. Hope to see some sweet decks and what people have been at least attempting to test, or see how many people just net deck Italy and call it a day.
Oh yeah, sure.
I'm pretty sure that's what there's going to be a lot of.
Oh, yeah,
but yeah.
me
I
too.
mean,
Just
I look forward to
Italian
seeing
lists.
whatever tops, so I know what to expect at LA. So.
Anyway, thanks guys, thanks for being on today. This has been Outerworld's InnerWorld. We hope to see you next week as well, so remember to like, comment and subscribe. Thanks for watching guys, and goodbye.